All right. Thank you, Michael, for coming to Orange County.
No
it was a pleasure taking part of your first chapter of the book this morning. And
awesome.
So I haven't read the whole thing, but it intrigued. It was very intriguing for me to read some things that I've been thinking about. And one of the first things I had to wonder about was this elevation principle that you talk about. It almost talks about this launch being possible for almost anybody, even though they're not the brightest kid on the block.
Right.
Like you almost refer to yourself as. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, the elevation, if you think of your business as a rocket ship, and the fuel for your rocket is content. And in the elevation principle, I talk about a formula which is great content plus other people minus marketing messages equal growth. So the content is made up of two different kinds of fuel. You got primary fuel and nuclear fuel. And primary fuel has got about a 72-hour shelf life, so you need to produce new content regularly. It's things like how-to articles and case studies and interviews. Nuclear fuel, harder to create. You do it when you're starting your business or when you have key moments in your business where you need to really attract a lot of attention. It's things like reports based on surveys, contests. But the other people component has to do with looking outside of your company and tapping the knowledge of experts. People that are like written books, people that are experts inside of corporations, and bringing the knowledge that's in their mind to your audience. Doing a couple things. First of all, providing great knowledge to your audience, but at the same time, building potential relationships that could help bring more people to you. The last thing is no marketing messages. Nobody likes to be sold. So the idea is put those in storage and stop selling, stop putting advertising all around your content. Then your content can be received as a true gift instead of as some sort of a lure that's designed to draw people in.
Yeah, I went to a seminar by Brian Halligan on HubSpot, and he talked about this that I saw you refer to in the book. And when it comes to no marketing messages, do you see a lot of companies understanding this yet, or is it still just a very small minority that...
HubSpot is a perfect example of a company that does it. Most businesses haven't quite figured this out. It's a new model, but it makes sense because people are tuning out and they don't trust businesses anymore because they're just being marketed to constantly. So if you can figure out how to use other channels to market, just don't like taint your content with marketing messages. Save it for a back channel like email. Then you can draw people to you and bring them back. They'll receive it for what it truly should be, which is a gift. And I think that if businesses start experimenting with it, they'll begin to see that it is something that really works. And they'll get over this, why isn't anybody reading my content? And they'll actually begin having raving fans that want to share that content.
No, but you talk about having people focus on some area, but this internet paralysis that you talk about, I found interesting. I have had ideas myself and Google it and said, somebody else did it already. Let's move on to something else. But your argument is that you can still do it, even if you start from scratch, way behind the leaders in the field.
Look, I launched Social Media Examiner in 2009, well into the craze of social media with no social media experience, okay? And Social Media Examiner is the #1 small business blog in the world. So if I can do it, and anybody can really do it. And you know, there is this kind of like, oh, it's already been done, I'm not going to do it mentality. But the fact is, you know, there are so many people right now that are involved in social media, yet I was able to do it. I think I'm the perfect proof that a nobody from nowhere can actually do something quite dramatic.
I think you're a little bit overly humble when you talk about no experience, given your experience with white papers, etc. But still,
that's true. But I didn't have any experience in social media.
No, but it applies very well.
Yes.
It looks like a second season for journalists coming in social media. Is that your perception as well? That journalists, good writers, will be in high demand?
I believe, yes, that content is going to become the magic way to attract people, and I know there's a lot of journalists that are out of work. It's great news for writers because businesses that don't know how to write can reach out to these writers, and also they can train up people in their organization that know how to write, how to create that kind of content that is commercial free.
When I started teaching internet marketing, we talked a lot about Metcalfe's law, the network effect, that there can only be, in some industries like eBay or job sites, there can only be one winner that will attract all the buyers and sellers, if you will. But you're saying basically that Metcalfe's law doesn't apply as much as before, that the first winner, the first mover could be
I don't think that's such a big deal, because if you think about it, people are always going to be interested in solving specific problems. And even though I'm a big blog, it doesn't mean that everybody gets all their social media knowledge from my blog. It's a big world.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is just figure out what it is that your audience is interested in, whether you're a real estate agent or somebody who makes cooking products, you know. And just the fact is that, any business can do well with this. But, you know, the idea of being the biggest in the world maybe is a little bit of a stretch, you know what I mean? But you could get people to rethink the way that they look at you and really become very loyal to your brand, which is what everybody really wants.
It certainly does. And in my understanding of marketing is the development is moving towards relationships and partnerships more and more. And
Absolutely.
it plays very well with your idea about partnerships instead of looking at. Does the word competition enter your mind ever, or do you only think about people as potential partners and collaborators? And
that's absolutely true. I do not think anyone is a competition. I think of co-opetition.
Yeah.
Co-opetition, cooperate, even if you're a competitor. I've always had that model. When I was the king of white papers, I went to every single person that was high profile in that industry, and I gave them my platform. I gave them exposure. I helped them. You know, what happens is when the tide rises, all the ships rise. And I believe that if you give gifts to people, whether they be your competitors or not, it's gonna help you, and it's gonna help really, you know, in a major way, bring people to you.
Yeah. So how do you think students should be prepared to enter the workforce given this new paradigm?
I think students need to figure out how to build the relationships, and they need to figure out how to design the content. If they can figure out how to create great content, and they can advise businesses on how to actually establish relationships with the experts, they'll become invaluable. And they could just do one or the other. You know, they could just create content. They could work on relationship building. It's just business development, kind of in a new form, if you think about it.
So have you found yourself in high demand now as an expert for others that are listening to your story, that you have some time management issues?
Well, actually, what's great about me is I tell everybody I'm not a consultant. I'm a publisher. I have friends who do that stuff, so I just point those opportunities to those friends. And I'm a pure play publisher. Social Media Examiner is my magazine, and it's great when they come in. I'm able to send those leads out to my friends, and they love me even more. And so it's a total win-win.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem.
And looking forward to your show.
Thanks.